Okay, so we'll just recap the last video. Now, as you know, we've measured the scale length, we've put masking tape on the body of the guitar, we've then been able to mark on top of the masking tape with a lead pencil without damaging the finish. We've measured our scale length, we've got the alignment of the bridge correct, we've then traced around that with a very sharp knife and removed the masking tape, just revealing the area that the bridge will sit, and then we've scuffed that up with sandpaper so the glue will take better, unlike the rest of the glossier surface here. Okay, so our next challenge is to get the wiring from the undersaddle pickup, this namely, through that cavity that's been created in the body, or that because of that support block that sits under the bridge. So the right way to go about this, as I said, these will be pre-drilled in future, but the right way to go about this is to get a drill bit that's slightly larger than the thickest part of that end. Drill on a very, very slight angle, so you definitely don't want to go on a sharp angle and hit the bottom of the guitar. Go across, make sure you drill right through, and then from there, take some fishing line again, pull that through until you can grab it here, and then you can tie that off to the end of the pickup wire and pull it through. What we're going to do from here is apply a very light coat of glue under the bridge, and also in that area we've already marked. Now there's a couple of things you want to have on hand. Obviously we're committing to gluing this bridge, so you want to have these tools in place first. So first thing you're going to need is a clamp. Now this kind of clamp is not going to cut it, unfortunately. What you're going to need is something called a deep throat clamp. That's something that the arms extend out much further. Now the reason for that, I'll bring the camera down and just demonstrate. The reason for that is, as you can see, this is never going to reach that area. So you can either spend the money and buy a set of clamps. You'll need at least two, or you can make something up yourself. I've just made up these clamps years ago, and I use tape to protect the body of the guitar. It goes in like so, and then I screw that down using that wing nut, and it will sit on top of the bridge. Two, they can be a little tricky to fit, but once they're in place, I suggest you just leave them there. Okay, now the other thing, you're going to want a clean rag to clean any glue. As I said before, we're going to be applying glue to the bottom of the bridge and the body itself, and when we clamp down, we're going to get some squeeze out. Now we'll leave the masking tape in place. That will keep us nice, clean, squeeze out lines, but you're still going to need a rag on hand just in case you need it to remove any excess. The other thing, obviously, you're going to need to double check that scale length, so have a tape measure or steel rule, preferably a steel rule in place, and obviously your clamps. Now the glue, you should use a dedicated wood glue, something that is going to be strong enough to handle the tension coming from the string. So if you're not sure, I would get advice from your hardware store or look online. Okay, so first thing I'd recommend doing is a dry fit. Just make sure everything's going to work correctly before you commit to using glue. We'll get our bridge in place, we'll clamp it down, and we'll check our scale length and make sure we're correct. Now, as we know, this is a 25.5 inch scale length, or 648 mil. Now that should measure, when we put the bridge in place, that should be to the center. As you know, we talked about this last time, the saddle is on an angle to compensate. So usually you're going to see the treble strings maybe 1.5 mil ahead, depending, and the bass side you're normally going to see about 4 mil, up to 4 mil, anywhere between 2 to 4 mil longer, and that's just to compensate for the mass of the strings. As we know, our scale length is precise, it's 25.5, but the bass strings are wound and they just have greater mass, so we need to compensate for that. Okay, so I'm going to bring the camera down now. I'm just going to do a dry fit, and then we're going to double check our measurement, and now we can commit to gluing the bridge in place. Okay, so just placing that bridge along the lines I used earlier. Just make sure that's as accurate as I can get it. And once that's in place, I'm going to bring this around. Now, these are pretty easy to make. All you really need is some threaded rod and some timber and a couple of nuts, preferably a wing nut. Makes it a little bit easier to deal with on the top like so. Now I'll put these in just firmly for now, but when you are committing to gluing, as I'll demonstrate shortly, I would start by just getting the clamp in place without overly tightening, and once you're happy with the placement, you've double checked again, then I would tighten it, and that's when you may see some some glue coming out from the edges, but as I said, we've kept that tape in place so that we have nice clean lines there. Okay, these can take a little bit of fiddling around. The bottom section of wood sometimes moves around as you turn in that wing nut. Obviously, you can also buy luthier clamps for bridges, and that's something you may be interested in if you're going to be building more than one guitar. Now, when I actually glue the bridge in place, I'll probably apply some masking tape just over the top of the middle as well, just to ensure it doesn't move. Okay, so I'm just going to double check that now. So, as we said, from the inside of a nut to the center of the saddle should be 648. That's exactly what we've got, thankfully, so that's good. Okay, with that in mind, I think we're ready to start gluing. Okay, so we're about ready to glue the bridge. The one thing I didn't mention earlier is when you're applying the glue to the underside of the bridge, obviously, and to the body of your guitar, you want a really clean, light film, a covering. You don't want lumps, you also don't want bare spots. So I'd recommend using a brush if you've got one, and just apply the glue quite lightly and then apply it to the body itself. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. We want to get right up to the edges, but we don't want excess. So just apply lightly. Just have a rag on hand, as we said before, just to make sure you can remove any excess. We've got a little bit of excess around the sides here. Glue's not quite as easy to work with as paint. Now, one thing I didn't mention either, I would also recommend cleaning the surface of the guitar, obviously, before we start applying any glue there as well. Okay, so again, just a light coating right to the edges. And the glue will protect the rest of the body. Sorry, the tape will protect the rest of the body, I should say. You can see I've got a fairly light coat here. There's no lumps, but there's no bare spots. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to carefully place that body along the lines we had earlier. Just be very careful that all lines up. There's no second chances when it comes to this. Okay, and once you're happy with that placement, I'd recommend also just applying a strip of tape just over the middle, just to help lock that in place while we get our clamps in order. Okay, so from here, I'll bring clamp number 1 into place. And you can see that's already moved, so we're going to have to be careful with this. That's moved quite a bit. Again, once you've got those clamps in place, again, I would recommend double checking, even just roughly that scale length, just to make sure. Yeah, we're still bang on 648, so we're in good shape. And from there, I would commit to tightening further. Okay, and you can just go around and clean some of that glue away if you like. Most of it's going to end up on the tape anyway, which will protect and just give us clean lines with that glue. Okay, so from there, I'd now leave that guitar for 24 to 48 hours or whatever the manufacturer of your glue product recommends, and we'll pick it up in the next video.